video will cover the managing of the patient services. You can manage the collection of data on the patient services provided in a number of ways. You can enter any number of services. You can capture counts, is what is usually captured, so the number of teeth pulled, the number of lidocaine shots, the number of glasses made, numbers of various things. You can also capture text entry, so you might capture blood pressures and blood sugar levels and weights and heights and all kinds of stuff. So this is going to describe how you set all of that up. And under the data menu item, view edit services, this is the page that controls the services that you're going to capture when you see patients at your clinics. You divide your services into categories. There are major categories. This makes it easier to find them, to enter them, to report on them, to control the services. And so mostly we've got dental, medical, and vision. You might have vet services if you see animals, if you've got a veterinary clinic. And the general is a special case. Those services are kind of triage items that you're capturing, and they show up on all the data entry forms. So for example, a general service, let's look at some of the general services. They might be, does the patient have asthma, diabetes, hearing loss, glaucoma, HIV, liver disease, have they had a stroke, that kind of thing. So the general is a special case, and it's seen by when you're entering services on any of the other service areas like dental, medical, and vision. But let's go ahead and set up medical. So medical, you've got, of course, the service name is the first thing that you see here. You've got the service names. Then you've got the adult cost and the child cost. So this is the service values at these free clinics. You're not charging the patients these values, but when you're reporting on the value of the services provided, this is where the system gets this. The next thing that you see here is the display column. So you are actually designing how these services will look on the data entry page. You have up to 3 columns of services, and you decide the sort order for your services as well. That's this column here. And you have control over where they are on the page, and that makes it easier. Typically what you want to do as a best practice is have the service name match what's on your form. That makes it very easy to find and enter it. We're not entering things by Medicare codes or any insurance coding or anything like that. We're just entering it by name, so it makes it easier to find it if you name it the same as it is on your forms. In addition, you are deciding the column in the sort order. So you want to order things so that they are the same order that's on your forms, or if something is on the left side of the form, it might be on the left side of the screen. It's just little things that make it easier for someone to enter the data quickly. And I'll show you how that ends up looking. Then next you've got the default quantity. That is, of course, almost always 0. But if you have a service that you're always providing, such as the triage at your clinics, triage is the first one here. And if you always at your clinics you're doing a triage, you would have that as a 1. And so if you just bring up the services entry page, that one's already filled in. It's not used usually very much, just to speed things up on a few things. And then you've got the type of service that's being recorded. And by service type, we mean what does the data entry part of it look like? So is it a count? Almost always they're counts. We're recording the number of services. Let's look at dental, for example. In dental, you've got the number of lidocaine shots, the number of amalgam with one surface, 4 surfaces. And so you've got that kind of, usually at the services are all counts. You can also have a checkbox. You see the very top one there, the exam is a checkbox for yes or no. This is only used if it is truly a yes or no, and it's a little bit faster to check a box than to update the count. So it's something that makes data entry a little easier. If it truly is only just a yes or no, then make it a checkbox. Of course, things like lidocaine shots, which you see right here, are you can have 3 or 4 shots. So that is obviously a count. And then the sub area is this one over here. You will have, this is just used for reporting. So is the service in the restorative area, or is it in crowns? Is it in surgery? So you see some other kinds of sub areas here, x-rays, endo, and so on. And glasses, and then is it active or not? So you can make services inactive if you decide to use them. The system is loaded with a bunch of default services, and you can use the numbers, whichever ones you want, add, remove, delete. There's no limit to the number of services. In some of the categories, you may not have very many. For example, in vision, the default system only has a few services in vision. You can do exams, you can give out readers, and so on. Okay, so that's if you want to edit one of these. Let's go to medical and let's edit flu shot. You see that you can change the sub area that it's in. You can change the service name. You can change the type of value that's being recorded. Is it a short comment of 50 characters or less, or a long comment, or a checkbox, and so forth. So, and then the adult value, the child value. If the person is under 18 years old, then we associate the child value if it only matters if it's a different value, and the sort order. All right. So one issue that comes up when you're looking at these things is you are reordering them in order to get them onto your screen so that they are very easy to use. For example, you want all the amalgams together. You don't want them scattered all over the screen. And so you change the sort order so that it is sequential. So you see, and then you see this grouping right here is a real tight grouping. So if you want to put something in the middle of that, it takes you a few minutes to renumber some of those around it so you can put it in the correct order. Or you can just press this button up here, the renumber sort button. What that does is if you take a look at the 401, 402, 403, just click this button and it renumbers all the items for you so that you've got a nice spacing in there just to make it easier to sort of move them around the screen. All right. Now, what it looks like on the page that you're designing is if you go into data, you can enter dental services or medical services or veterinary services in this clinic. This is just an example, or the vision. Let's look at medical. You would scan in their form number that you're looking at from the patient label that you've printed when you register that patient. You would scan in that form, and then it would bring up their record. This is Alexandro Appleton, born on this date, form number so-and-so when they were registered. And you can see the 3 columns of data that you have here. This is the first column here. And you've got the first column here, obviously the second column and the third column. Now you've got a couple of different types of data entry. The count, like we said, is the usual thing. So almost always what you're doing is counting items. And you're just clicking on either the up or down arrow is usually the fastest way. Just click on the up or down arrow there to increase the counts. If it truly is only a yes or no, as we said, you can make it into a checkbox, and that's what this one here is a checkbox. If you need to capture somebody, something that they type in, for example, the doctor's name, you've had a physical exam, and you're going to type in the doctor's name. This is an example of the text, the short text field. If you need more information, let's say in this little demo, we've got a bunch of fields here, the EKG and the EKG notes. So the EKG notes is set up as a long field, and so you can also resize this thing so that you can make it as big as you want, and you can just type in whatever you want there, and that will be saved into the system. All right? So that is the medical services, entry of the medical services, and how you set up and configure it so that it's most productive for you. Down here below you see the general services. This is the general service area. These are the things we discussed that are in the general area, and these are usually just yes/no fields captured at triage time. All right.